I'd like to welcome you to the Weavers Guild of Minnesota annual meeting. We're thrilled that you're here. I'm Rachel Holdgraffer. I'm one of the two co-chairs of the board. And I'll be kicking us off tonight, and then you will hear from our other co-chair a little bit later, as well as some of our board members. First thing I'm going to do is let you know that this meeting is being recorded for folks who can't attend. So just know that that is happening. You probably got a little notification when you logged in that it was being recorded and transcribed, which makes it easier for our secretary to capture all the pertinent notes. We welcome your comments and questions in the chat. We are a member-driven organization, and we're so glad you're here. Usually it's just our board, so it's fun to see new faces. Welcome. And we also want to acknowledge that, the Weavers Guild is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through the Minnesota State Arts Board Operating Support Grant. And we are thankful for the appropriation of those funds for arts and from the Arts and Heritage Fund. So big thanks there. And here's tonight's agenda. We're going to recognize our board members who are rolling off after completing their service. We're going to review the election process, and then we're going to present the nominees for the next board, which is fall of 2025 through spring of 2027. Then we'll hear some highlights and review of the financials. So the end of fiscal 2024 through to today. And then we'll talk about our 2025, 2020 to 2027 plan. So we have a really exciting plan. The board has been hard at work, and we're really excited about where it will take us in the new year. New year meaning, of course, fiscal year. And then we'll also talk, key goals, ways to support, how you can weigh in. Sorry, I saw the last bullet and had a little brain tremor. All right, so moving on. Thanks, Betsy. We'd first like to thank our board members who've been so committed to serving on the board, and some of our current board members are going to say a few words about these folks who are rolling off. Cheryl, would you like to say a little something about Amy Gillespie?
I would. It's my real honor to thank Amy for her outstanding services as our treasurer from September 2023 until now. So you all know that the role of the treasurer is extremely important for our guild. Beyond the visible work that we all see, like leading monthly financial meetings and delivering clear, accessible budget reports that help us strike a balance between what we might dream and what's financially comfortable and what's strategically smart. Amy has managed a million behind the scenes tasks like coordinating with auditors, filing IRS 990 reports, completing healthcare contracts for employees, a million more things than I know in my just 1 year of getting to work with her. But in that year, what I know about Amy is that she's worked so hard to ensure that everyone is involved in our conversations and decision-making. She shaped our finance committee to be efficient and effective, but also just a welcoming space where members can get to know each other and connect with each other. And Amy has a genuine interest and knowledge in other people's ideas and perspectives, and always brings new and thoughtful ideas on her own. So, and most of all, I will just always think of Amy and the sparkle that she has, not only for numbers, but for the guild and everything that we hope to be. So while we're going to miss her on our monthly meetings, I know that she'll be around the guild in our gatherings, and we'll look forward to seeing her and her beautiful work. So thank you, Amy, for everything you've done.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's really kind. Loved being part of this group, and I will definitely still be around the guild.
Thanks, Amy. And thank you, Cheryl, for those kind words. Joe, would you like to say a few things about Amanda Anderson? And I think you might be on mute.
It's been my pleasure to work with Amanda while my tenure on the board. She was president at one point, did an amazing job, and then also filled in as secretary at one point. Has been an important member of the finance committee, helped the move to open book, and despite health issues has continued to be active and zoomed in on meetings through her phone while in her car, I think at times, just trying not to miss any meetings. And has just been an amazing person who's welcomed everyone to the Guild, showed amazing leadership, and it's just been a pleasure to work with her. And we all say thanks to Amanda.
Thanks, Joe. I don't think Amanda is with us this evening, so if she jumps on, we'll have her say a few words. Otherwise, see, Natalie, are you here?
I am here. Hello,
Will you say
everybody.
a few words about Mary?
Oh, of course I will. I'm going to say too many, so somebody cut me off when I ramble. No, just kidding. Hi, Mary. I can't see your face, but I know you can hear me. Okay, I wrote this down because I am a little scatterbrained, so I'm just going to read it. But Mary, I wrote this from the heart, I promise. Tonight, I have the bittersweet task of saying goodbye on behalf of the board to Mary Margaret. I met Mary when I was just starting to weave. I just taken Jan Johnson's beginning floor loom class at the Guild. I was instantly hooked, and I was renting some time on one of our Guild looms. And anyone who knows Mary already knows what happens next, which is Mary came up to chat with me. Because starting up a conversation with somebody for Mary is like breathing. It's natural, it's effortless, and it's full of life. She's the living embodiment of the saying, a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet. Knowing I was looking for a more permanent studio space, Mary invited me into her community, the Seward Weaving Collective, just a collective of weavers who are Guild members. And those members I consider my dear friends now, and I've learned so much from them. And this is who Mary is. She is a connector, a weaver in the truest sense of the word, not just of fiber, but of people and purpose. Most recently, she was integral in bringing Ty Lee from Thailand to teach at the Guild about Hmong traditional hemp weaving with Red Green Rivers. If some of you were able to attend the talk or any of those classes, Mary had a big part of that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of things that people Mary has pulled together. She has recently retired, actually, in air quotes, retired, because I see you still answering those emails and picking up the phone, Mary. But she was a public defender, which should tell you everything you need to know about Mary Mateer. But she also somehow, in all of that, was able to volunteer a bunch of time, lots of other places. But one thing that I want to point out is that Mary, if you know her, you know that she is fierce. She is fiercely loyal, she is tenacious, and she is tireless. I have never seen anyone crawl under more looms than I have Mary. She is always on the floor helping whoever needs help fix their loom. And at Guild events, I never even have to check in advance or give her a call to see if she's going to be there because she's already there. She's sweeping the floor, she's setting up chairs, she's doing something, she's brought a buddy as well. So I don't even have to call her. I know she's going to be there, which is why she's the perfect person to be a welcoming face at places like Shepherd's Harvest, where she always is. I know she'll be at our, the new craft events and all those things. At our board meetings, I'm finishing, I promise. At our board meetings, she brings thoughtful insight, often the comment that shifts the conversation or clarifies the path forward. Though she's stepping away from the board, she's not stepping away from us, I'm sure. If anything, I suspect she'll be more present than ever, volunteering, maybe having more time to weave, and sharing her gifts with our community. Mary, we are all better for knowing you. I'm a better weaver, a better person because of your generosity and spirit. Thank you for everything you've given us during your time on the board and for all that's still to come.
Wow. Natalie, oh my gosh. I can't figure out why my camera isn't working, so I apologize. But I am wiping tears away as so it's probably a good thing that you can't see me right now. It's such
Love you,
kind
Mary.
words, and I'm not sure I deserve all the accolades, but thank you so much, Natalie. But I just want to say that I really, really enjoyed my time on the board. Boy, a lot of hills and valleys that we've gone through. Betsy, it's been quite a ride. And I look forward to being involved with as a volunteer now rather than a board member. Um, less responsibility that way. Anyway, it's been great, and I'm excited for the new board members. I did check out your profiles, and it's always fun to see who's coming on board and taking the helm. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Natalie, for such kind words for Mary. And last but certainly not least, Barb Diker, would you like to say a few words about Beth?
I would love to say a few words about Beth. So Beth was on the board when I joined the board, and I'm only just a year behind her, I believe. But she was kind of a quiet presence. But where I really got to know her was in the spinning interest group. And there, Beth was just demonstrated her immense welcoming to everyone, her infectious laugh that really engages everyone. And to be honest, the one story that I remember is we are at the spinning interest group, and Beth is doing pin looms up the wazoo. She is like doing pin looms in a way that I had never seen before. And I was so entranced and have loved it ever since. And in her honor, I am doing a pin loom right now because Beth is engaging with everyone. The other thing is during the board meetings, I love the way Beth is able to introduce a pivot, a question, an idea that is gentle and kind and yet thought-provoking. And we are so much better because Beth has been on the board. And I look forward to seeing you more at the interest group meetings as we go forward.
Thank you so much, Barb. That's so kind. It has been wonderful working with everyone. I think along with Mary, our board term started, what, 4 months before COVID or something? So we've had an
Right.
interesting run. And it's been great to get to know more people at the guild and to see some more crossover between the spinners and the weavers. That's been really lovely.
Well, thank you to our current members, Cheryl, Joe, Natalie, and Barb, for their kind words. I couldn't have said it better. It's amazing how wonderfully you captured each of these individuals. And to Amy, Amanda, Mary, and Beth, on behalf of the board of directors, we thank you for all of your hard work, your commitment, and your service during your time with us. And we hope to see you around, just doing the usual thing, and we can catch up then. All right, so let's talk about voting. So now that these 4 folks are going to have more free time to weave, because they won't be on the board, we need to bring some folks in. And to do that, we need to secure your vote. To do that, you can complete an online ballot or an electronic ballot. If you look at the chat, you will see that there is, I think I sent it to everybody. Did it go to everybody or just the board? Let's see. Can someone confirm if it went through? It did. Okay, thank you for the nods. So the link's there. You can click on the link and vote immediately online. That is the fastest way if that is your preference. Otherwise, you can click on the second link, download the PDF, fill out the form, and send it back to the guild or drop it off by July 10th. So if you leave this session and you realize you didn't grab the link, you can also find those links in your most recent edition of the draft, which came out, I believe, at the beginning of this week. I was just rereading it myself. So there we go.
I'm just trying to figure out where that picture's from.
I was thinking, I'm just going to ask you the same thing. What are you doing there?
American Swedish Institute a year ago.
Okay.
Looking up for residency. It looks like you're voting.
It does look like you're voting. That's fantastic. Thank you. All right, so let's meet our board of director nominees. I'm going to start with myself. I'm coming back, or hoping to come back, as co-chair for the next 2 years. A little bit about me: I'm a creator at heart. I've done all sorts of things from mosaic and mixed media, and now my new passion is weaving and spinning. I'll be playing with dyeing fibers soon. I've committed to my family that I will not have sheep in the backyard. By day, I am a project manager and I have 20 years of experience in marketing, specifically in digital marketing and communications. And I'm just here to do what I can to put my horsepower behind the guild and help us through the next 2 years, help us grow and reach more folks. And Erin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, for those I don't know. I'm Erin Vries Daniels. I always say two last names, no hyphen. Vries is like breeze, but with a V. I have been on the board for a year now, and I've really enjoyed my time here in the Weavers Guild. I too am a maker, crafter of lots of various things, hence all the boxes and storage behind me. You don't get to see the whole wall that's next to me that's also full of unfinished projects that I will finish, I promise. Um, I have been weaving for about 5 years now, and completely dove head first, and so trying lots of different various forms of weaving and love it all. During my work day, I work for Target. I've been there for 19 years. I currently lead some pricing strategy through there. And so I have a financial background. I actually love Excel just as much as I love weaving, which I think is probably unique. I've also served as treasurers on some various political campaigns, and so have experience doing that as well. So happy to step up and lead in this way for the guild.
Okay.
Thanks, Erin.
Yeah.
Ala, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I would love to. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ala Hill. I know a few of the faces on this call, and I've talked to a few of you guys. How do you introduce yourself to a group of crafters, right? The fun fact is usually I make things during meetings, and I'm sure you all do too. So I come to weaving by way of knitting. I've been a knitter since I was 8, and needed to do things with my hands. And schools at that time didn't have swivel chairs and fidgets and all those things. And I had made a blanket last year that needed a little band. And Betsy will remember the moment I walked in and I said, I need to learn how to weave a band to cover up this ugly seam on my blanket. And she sat with me for an hour and taught me how to inkle weave. And then I joined the Banditos, and sort of the rest is history. I'm hooked. And I love it. And the Weavers Guild has been such an amazing space. During my recent transition, I left the corporate world to take what I'm calling a creative sabbatical, to focus on bringing communities together through creativity. And I think that by serving on the board, I'll be able to fulfill that mission. So hoping to serve for the next few years.
Thanks, Ala.
Yeah.
Amy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course, would love to. My name is Amy Haben, and I am very new to weaving, about 6 months since I've taken my first weaving class. I'm hooked. I'm super enthusiastic about this new creative endeavor. I started with a Sayori class. I've taken an ankle loom class recently, and I've purchased a tabletop rigid heddle loom that I'm super excited to take some classes and to just explore and experiment and create. I've been a little bit delayed. I've recently broken my foot, but I'm on the mend, and weaving is the thing that is keeping me moving forward in my healing. So that's awesome. I loved the classes I've taken recently. The expressiveness, the creativity spoke to something I've been looking for myself personally. I was completely drawn to the community and connection in those classes. What a wonderful environment. New weavers, and experienced weavers create just this wonderful sense of community as you're creating and meditating and conversing. It was amazing. And the guild was great. Within the first half hour of one of my classes, someone had introduced the class to the interest groups and was inviting us all in regardless of our level of experience. It was really lovely. And at that point, I thought this is definitely a community I'd like to continue to be part of and find ways to support as I pursue my creative endeavors. So with that said, some of the things that I've done in the past, I spent the first 17 years or so of my career working in the healthcare industry, doing both business and strategic planning. When I stepped out of that career, I went into my volunteer era. So for about 10 years, I worked for, volunteered with a variety of committees and boards in support of the Edina Public School System. That's where my two boys were enrolled. And during that time, I also, with some extended family, helped to create and lead a sustainable farming, family farming venture. We raised Scottish Highland cattle with the really long hair and the horns. It was a fabulous experience to do with my family and with my boys. And then I launched them into their adulthood and spent a little time thinking, what comes next? And so I went into nature, and I went into nature to walk and to explore and to dream. And in that process, I decided to further to really further dig into my connection with nature, with place, and became a certified nature and forest therapy guide. You may have heard of that referred to as forest bathing, and also became a certified eco nidra teacher. So really, these are practices that are deeply rooted in nature and connection, and place and heart. And all of that experience over the last few years has really led me to say it's time to create. I feel a real creative urge coming on, and that is what's led me to weaving. And so hopefully I can bring the mind of a brand new weaver. I look forward to, again, this opportunity for creative expression. I look forward to the opportunity for community and connection and to contribute. So the experiences I've had to help support this amazing group.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks for the opportunity to introduce myself.
Yeah. And Barbara, would you like to introduce yourself? You might be on mute.
Good, because then I was questioning what I was saying. Yeah, but I'm Barbara. I'm a relatively new weaver. I'm really happy to know that some people who are on the board have had less weaving experience than I have. So it's been about a year. So thank you, Amy. I don't feel so ashamed. I appreciate this. And essentially, I have wanted to be a weaver since about college, and my life got in the way. And I've appreciated weaving. I've loved the weavers who have been in my life, but I had a life to live. My life essentially is centered around being a social worker. I was originally planning to be an art therapist because I was an undergraduate major in art and ceramic sculpture and batik fiber things, but I couldn't afford to support myself on that. So I became a social worker and incorporated a lot of art into my practice and help people learn to express themselves through creative means. So creativity has been a really long part of my life. I changed professions and became a professor of social work at Augsburg after 25 years of practice, and recently retired. And since retirement, trying to figure out how do I want to spend this wonderful time in my life that I just don't want to let fly away. And I knew Rachel, and I knew a couple of and her grandmother who is a weaver, and some other weavers. And Rachel came to a birthday party, brought all of her weavings last year, and I kind of said, "Oh, yeah, I've got time. Maybe it's time." So essentially, that's how I started now, and it's amazing. I've become a yarn collector. Uh, uh, it's an addiction, and I'm trying to put lots of it to use. And I'm learning, and it's fun to be a learner again at this point in life. It's been a long time because I've been the expert for a long time to be at something and learning something new. And recognizing, I can make mistakes and learning some of these basic things about allowing myself to be a learner. So why am I here? I've enjoyed everything I've done with the Guild. The classes have been incredible. And, sometimes people ask you to do things and you pull out and you say, okay, I've got some skills and some experience. I'm willing to give some time to this organization that has given so much to me. So here I am. Nice to meet folks.
Thanks, Barbara. And Beata, would you like to introduce yourself? You might be on mute. There you go. You should be good now.
My mouse decided it didn't want to connect. So yes, I'm happy to be here again for a second round of being a member at large. And here I am at the Richard Heddle open house, I'll call it, at the Weavers Guild, which was a really fun time. Gosh, it was just great. We had people trying things out, people, who were said, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, it's like, no, come on over here. You can do it. That was great. So I have been weaving since 2018, I think. My first experience was tapestry weaving at the North House Folk School, which was pretty cool. When it takes 4 days to make a tiny piece like this. And then I moved on to a Saori experience, which was wonderful, which just totally expanded everything. It's like, oh my gosh, look what I can do. And it's not going to take 2 years to make something. And then I took Richard Heddle classes at the Guild. I had to take beginning Richard Heddle twice, for those of you who are wondering. And then here I go from there. I love weaving. I have two Bridget Heddles. I have a 20-inch and a 15-inch shot. The little one is the Cricket. And I don't know, it's just, it's another craft to add to my resume, I guess. But so here's a little aside. I just recently tried pottery class with my daughter-in-law, and it was pretty clear by the time we finished the class that that's not a craft for me. The thing I produced was pretty funny, but we still had fun. What else? In my past, I worked at General Mills for 25 years. I worked as a manager in consumer insights, which means I just listened to consumers a lot. Wrote questionnaires, learned what they had to say, what they thought, what they were doing, and that was great. After I left General Mills, I began a different sort of part-time career with life coaching. So I've been life coaching for over 20 years. Most, I would say, part of what I do is as a volunteer coach at a virtual coach organization that's amazing. That they just celebrated 20 years of this solo coaching experience. If you want to know more about that, or if you know someone who wants a coaching experience basically for free, contact me. And that's where I am. And I have 2 adorable cats.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Beata. Brittany, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Cubes, and I am a pretty new member of the Guild. I've only been a member for a couple of months. It started around the time when I took a class with Donna Hansen, the table loom weaving class. And I'm newer to the Twin Cities also. I live in St. Paul. I moved here about a year and a half ago from Grand Marais, Minnesota. Which is, and when I kind of moved around a little in northern Minnesota. I also lived in Duluth. And in Duluth, I was pretty involved with the Duluth Fiber Guild, which I enjoyed quite a bit, and also served on the board with the guild there. And as far as fiber, I'm originally a knitter, became a spinner, and then more novice-y for weaving. I mostly enjoy all fiber things, just as far as less on the artistic side and more so for the tedium, excuse me, the tedium and the kind of repetition that's like pretty meditative. And I think I also have a 6-year-old son, who during his younger years, I really took a pause on a lot of fiber things. So now it's just kind of a good time in my life to sort of lean back in. And as far as my job life, I'm an attorney, and I spent the beginning of my career for about a decade in the public service realm. I was a public defender. I see you, Mary, I think it was. But I was a public defender in New Mexico. And then when I was in Grand Marais, I was a prosecutor. And so now, though, I work remotely, which is a little bit more a work-life balance friendly. But I think that background and my background of experiences could help the board, and I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, Brittany. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Joe Rubin. I'm the outlier, I believe, because I'm in Rochester, and I think the only one not in the Twin Cities. I'm up for my 3rd 2-year term, and I would say that the Guild and weaving have changed my life. I was a medical oncologist at the Mayo Clinic and retired 10.5 years ago. I then took a weaving course, a Saori, which was great, but I realized that wasn't for me. I wanted more complex weaving. And so now over 15 courses at least, and at least I think 8 looms, I'm totally hooked. I've just ordered, I think, my 9th loom, but I can't tell my friends because they said if I ordered any more, they'd have an intervention. The Guild has totally changed my life. Although I'd always been interested in fiber arts, I'd never done any myself. I've now got a lot of really good friends that we get together as a group and meet halfway from the cities, like in Cannon Falls or Red Wing, have lunch, show and tell, and we just have become great friends. I love the Guild. I enjoy working with everyone that's there, and it's just a very rewarding experience for me, and I believe I contribute to them. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. And Paige, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, I'm Paige Ty. Many of you may recognize me as I worked at the Guild about 2 years ago for about a 2-year stint. During that time, I have a Maycomber right behind me. There's quite a few looms in my living room. There's a log cabin project on the Maycomber currently. I am also a fanatical knitter now. So I have a knitting and weaving hobby, and then I have a visual arts background, which I have a master's degree in, which is in public practice art, which is a kind of degree that takes art out of the white cube and into community, which is what I have always been excited about the Guild. Is it is a place of community, and it is a place where there's always someone new to meet, and there's always someone you've met before usually. And I feel like after working there that the Guild invested a lot of knowledge into me personally. The way that I worked there also let me learn a lot about weaving. And the reason that I would like to be on the board is actually I was taking a knitting class, and a gentleman found out that I worked at the Guilds, and we ended up having a few conversations about looms and about what yarn he could use. And I was like, oh, I love this. And it's not my job anymore, but it's still all in there. So I just really want to give back to the Guilds, and also feel more, I feel a lot more settled in my current job, which is at Jazz 88, where I am a social media and digital specialist. So that's also where my expertise comes in. And, I'm always excited to help folks make videos and, work on live streams and things like that. And I would say that is also something I bring to the Guild. And is there anything else I wanted to make sure I touched upon? Yeah, I think that's about it. And I'm excited to hopefully serve the Guild. Thanks.
Thanks, Paige. All right. I believe that is everyone. So thank you all for introducing yourselves. It's really exciting to hear. I got a chance to speak to some of the new candidates. I know the board members from the existing board, but I didn't get to speak with everybody. So it's really great to hear your stories. It sounds like a great group of, with a wonderful mix of skills and talents that would support the organization, and also an incredible love for all things fiber, which I think we all have. It's a Joe, and you're like, I had to promise no sheep in my backyard, so I can appreciate it. If I score another loom, I might have to, I don't know, convince the other half to let me move the couch out of the living room. So I appreciate that. So remember, please vote by Thursday, July 10th. You can either click on the links in your most recent edition of the draft, or you can, if you're online with us now, you can click in the chat and vote either online or download that PDF. All right, let's talk about the fiscal year in review. I'm going to just say it's been an incredible year. There's always challenges, right, with any board situation. The world has been sort of wild, and now we've wrapped up the year already, and it's been really great. Jasmine, would you like to provide some insight on all the highlights of the year?
Yeah, so I can talk about a couple of highlights. The first one is that this year we've managed to build back our capacity for pre-COVID levels of on and off-site programs, including some really exciting ones like we were mentioning earlier about the Hmong weaver from Thailand. That was a really incredible event. Betsy spoke about working about 2 years with this partnership, so it was really fruitful and exciting to see that come through. And also another one is that we are at our highest membership level for the past 3 decades. I checked, and as of about 6 o'clock, we're at 697 members, which is incredible. We would also like to thank all of these members for the generous support in response to our fall fundraiser. We've had a huge outpouring of donated items, and all of those things have just led to a lot of support for the Guild. So we're really excited and grateful for that. We also have had numerous member exhibitions on site and off site. Members are really excited about their work and really excited to share it with other people. And a lot of these events are ways that people learn about the guilds and get involved. So all of those things are really exciting. So yeah, those are kind of the highlights that we've got.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jasmine. And a review of financials. Amy Gillespie, would you like to give the folks a summary of how things have been going?
Yes, I would. Thank you. So, hey there, everybody. I want to give first a few of the highlights. I tried to make this more exciting because I think people hear finance committee and they don't think excitement, but there's a lot of really cool things that happen within the finance committee world. So first, I wanted to say I think the theme, at least from my perspective, as the treasurer on the finance committee, is this is the first year, although I've only been on for 2 years, but I really felt like we could breathe a lot easier this year. We kind of came in and we had some challenges, and I feel like we prevailed. And so I'm really excited to see the Guild, going forward. But we, at the beginning of the year, had our full-time employee, Karin, leave the Guild. And that left a pretty big void in operations. And so the first thing I wanted to highlight was our fabulous volunteer, Marianne, who stepped up. She has some expertise in QuickBooks and accounting in a way that I just don't and other folks did not. And I think she spent between, like 10, 20, up to 40 hours in the Guild helping Betsy, helping Jasmine work through QuickBooks bugs. If anybody's worked through that system, it can be kind of finicky. Spend a lot of time getting our systems in order and paving the way for us to hire Alicia Vold, who is our now part-time operations employee. The second bullet point that I wanted to highlight is that we had an opportunity to actually build back our financial reserves that were, it wasn't ever an emergency situation, but things were low at times. We had our budget, and people who were part of that budget conversation, there were times where we had kind of a projected deficit, which doesn't feel good as a nonprofit. So at the beginning of this year and towards the end of last year, we sat down and we looked and we said, we really can't cut our expenses. A lot of our expenses are fixed. We have to pay the light bill, we have to keep our doors open, we have to pay our staff. So what can we do to balance this budget and not only survive, but thrive? And that's when we decided, we really need to focus on making more money, generating revenue. So we had a few strategic things that we chose to do as a board that have really paid off, which you'll see in the next couple slides. But Betsy and Jasmine and our wonderful volunteers really dove into the donated goods program for collecting and selling items. I'm sure everybody on this meeting has been part of that, whether you were donating things or buying them. That was a tremendous effort to find donators, finding sources of donated goods, bringing them, packaging them, pricing them, selling them. That was a tremendous driver this year. We also decided to really invest in the shop. So I know Jasmine had a key role in kind of redesigning areas of the shop, trying to make it more efficient, buying more storage to sell the most yarn and the most equipment that we could really get, bring value to our customers, our guild members, but also drive revenue for us. We also decided to do 2 member fundraisers, which a lot of people on this call I'm sure have seen and generously donated to. That's been very helpful, as well as investing in hosting more classes on site and off site. Jasmine highlighted that earlier. And then finally, doing more outreach events to help spread the word and recruit more weavers and have more people coming to our classes. So we were able to build back our financial reserves in that way. And then finally, I wanted to share that the Weavers Guild got audited by MNUI. And I think anybody who has worked a corporate job or filed taxes, sometimes that just happens. You just get audited and you roll with it and you get it done. And that's what we did. Betsy, Jasmine, everyone who had a part in that. filed the paperwork, and we passed, and we were okay. We survived an audit. You can go to the next slide.
What is the MNUI?
Minnesota Unemployment Insurance.
Thank you.
All right, so here is a pie chart. Again, there's more data we could have shown you, but in this short time we had together, I thought I wanted to just highlight some of these categories. Our sources of revenue, so our money making, you'll see membership dues was substantial at 7%, shop sales, so the yarn, the equipment that you buy from our shop, grants, state, etc., cash contributions that we have gotten from our fundraisers, classes, workshops, again, that is the largest category, and then other earned income, so interest on our savings accounts. Go to the next slide. And then our expenses, you'll see our largest category is personnel. That's our largest investment because that is who does, the operations of the Guild. That's who makes the magic happen. It's a really important category. Followed by occupancy, so our space, our place in the open book. Followed by supplies, so the just the things you need to make classes run. Same with classes and workshops. Followed by accounting services, and then information technology. Right, and then that's all that I have for tonight. But if anybody has any questions, you can always reach me via email. Thank you.
Cheryl, would you like to walk us through the 2025-2027 two-year plan?
I will. Thank you, everyone. We're getting toward the end, and I just encourage you to stand up or take a break or roll your shoulders or something. I know it's been a lot of listening. So we had a 5-year strategic plan that was developed in 2021 and set to expire at the end of this fiscal year. So of course that plan was developed in the midst of in the thick of things with COVID and all the challenges that a pandemic could present to a member-based organization like ours. And I am so proud of all the people who were on this call who helped the Guild not only make it through that time, but also to thrive. And so the world now looks very different. It was time for us to embark on another plan. We decided to go with a 2-year plan this time, understanding that the world just continues to move faster and faster, and that we want to remain nimble and responsive to the evolving challenges and opportunities. So we have set some goals for ourselves for the next 2 years. The next slide will show a little bit about the process that we used. So as a framework for this process, which has taken us about 5 months, we relied on the Working Genius framework that is from Patrick Lencioni and the Table Group. So this is a framework that not only helps individuals sort of discover their strengths and where they most enjoy contributing to a team, but it also provides a framework for project planning and project management that outlines the key steps that we, so that we don't forget any crucial steps that will be crucial for success. So back in February, our board started at the sort of 30,000 foot level with wonder, or asking really big questions about our environment and the conditions and the organizational purpose and who we wanted to be. And month by month, we just moved through these stages, gradually trying to get closer to landing the plane. Once we had the broad questions and big picture purpose in place, we moved on to the invention idea generation phase. Thinking about what new ideas or solutions or perspective or approaches could help us get closer to that big picture vision. And then we moved down to discernment, trying to discern which of those strategies would be most sustainable and have the most impact. And at this point, we are at the stage of having a plan, but we are going to need to continue to work this model. We'll need our galvanizers to build buy-in and excitement about our ideas. So that's part of what we're doing here at this meeting. We'll need enablement. So we'll need to be able to remove the obstacles and provide resources. That's something that we'll be doing in August when we approve our budget that is aligned with our priorities. And then finally, we'll need tenacity over the next 2 years to hold ourselves and each other accountable to really make some progress on the goals that we have set for ourselves. I think a really important thing for you to know is that these goals are not only goals for our staff. These are ambitious goals for our board and for our entire member and volunteer guild. And we're going to need all of us to be engaged in order to complete these tasks. So watch for opportunities to participate to help bring this plan to life. Tonight, we'll just be sharing some very high-level elements of this plan. And there'll be more details, and we'll publish more about that on our website. So in the wonder phase of our process, we really spent time thinking about our vision statement. We felt that we could do a lot for our guild by making sure that our vision statement reflected what it meant to be part of a guild and part of a collaborative and creative community that helps us all explore what it means to be human and what it means to be part of a supportive and welcoming community. And we also wanted to be sure that our vision honored our beautiful new home and open book. Open Book considers itself a community gathering place dedicated to diverse and dynamic creativity, conversation, and collaboration. And while the two anchoring tenets happen to be focused on literary arts, we feel right at home there with our commitment to community, conversation, and collaboration, just in terms of fiber arts. So our new vision is that we envision an inclusive, creative community centered on the universal and human practices of fiber arts. And going hand in hand with that, our mission, so the specific thing that we do to try and achieve that bigger shared collaborative vision is that we preserve and advance the arts of weaving, spinning, and dyeing. As far as our values, they might be a little long, but they're very powerful and inspiring. And so I just want to read them because they provide the framework for how we do our work. And I just also want to mention that the vision is the only thing that we changed during this process. Our mission and values have remained the same. So at the Weavers Guild of Minnesota, we believe that weaving, spinning, and dyeing are fundamental to the human experience and welcome all who are interested in these arts. We value and celebrate the rich textile traditions and practices of the past, present, and future immigrant, migrant, and indigenous communities who we serve. We value a diverse and inclusive environment and aim to serve as an exemplar in our community through equitable and accessible practices. We celebrate and respect all individuals, from beginners to seasoned artists and craftspersons. And we value a rich, positive culture that inspires lifelong learning in a non-competitive environment, nurturing a multi-generational community. And then as we got to the goals and the actionable items in our plan, we realized that they were starting to cluster and center on 3 priority areas, which we named people, programs, and place. And I'll let you know that we did develop SMART goals in each of these priority areas. And we also are going to be empowering the work groups that are focusing on each area to continue to refine what success looks like in each of these areas. So what do we mean by people? I think this you can go to the next slide. I think this meeting kind of exemplifies that the heart of the Weavers Guild of Minnesota is its people, its members, volunteers, instructors, and staff. So our goals in this area involve really enhancing the member experience for our 700 members. We're going to make sure that our membership benefits and engagement structure make sure that everyone feels valued and connected and empowered to share their perspective. We want to provide more support and infrastructure for the Guild's 10 different interest groups. We want to be sure that there's connection between the groups and ensure that we can really use those interest groups as a strategic network for growing future Guild leaders and gathering member feedback and sharing Guild information. And then we also want to pay attention to our incredible volunteers. This guild would not run without volunteers. So we want to make sure that our invitations to volunteer and participate are meaningful, and that the experience is meaningful, and that we're recognizing our volunteers in ways that really make sense to them. So that is what we mean when we say that people people matter, and we put them first in our strategic plan. Programs is our second priority area. And when we talk about programs, we are talking about education classes and retail sales. So you saw in our financial information that those are our two largest revenue generators. And they're also, I think, our two biggest mission makers. So we are very committed to make sure that we continue to grow and solidify our instructor pool and our guild held curriculum. We are so lucky to have incredibly skilled instructors, and we want to be sure that we are capturing everything that they know and creating opportunities for the knowledge transfer between generations, and that we're doing great professional development for all of our instructors. And then hand in hand with that is the curriculum. So we want to ensure that we have curriculum that is owned and can be used by the guild to continue to teach the things that that we think matter. So you're familiar, probably we're in the middle of a campaign to raise money to acquire and develop our guild held curriculum. So that is why that is important. We also want to streamline our processes for the donated goods sale. That is like growing and growing. So we want to be sure that more and more people can participate. And then we are really interested in building and offering more opportunities for cross-pollination between our interest groups, so that we're creating informal ways to gather and share knowledge in addition to the more formal class structures. And then finally, by place, what we are talking about is that we understand that fiber arts are entwined with a larger ecosystem. So the materials that we all use and love come from plants and animals, and they're tended by shepherds and land stewards. And we have this beautiful physical space in the open book that can be a gathering point where those fiber producers can gather and converge with the multicultural communities who we serve. So we want to prioritize this and work on really understanding what it means to be the Minnesota Weavers Guild, what it means to be a Minnesotan, and what it means to be in the open book space. So we want to build regional awareness of that beautiful space. We want to continue to develop partnerships like the one we've all talked about with our Hmong hemp cultivator, Ms. Lee Yang. That collaboration with Red Green Rivers and the Hmong Museum in St. Paul is really a perfect example of the direction that we're going here. And then our third goal right now in this area is that we know that Minnesota and our neighboring states are home to a growing community of fiber cultivators and producers, so that we want to be sure that we're engaging and collaborating with them and really prioritizing the idea of sustainability and understanding where our fibers are coming from. Again, I just want to stress that these are ambitious goals, and these are not just for the board and not just for the staff, but it is going to take all of us as a guild to be able to make these happen and bring them to life. So I really look forward to collaborating with you all to make them happen.
Yes, and if something gets you excited, if you heard something that gets you excited, please let us know. We'd love to align folks with what they love to do best in the world. So please feel free to reach out to staff or to any of the board members at any time. So again, thank you for being here tonight, for giving us your valuable time on a Thursday when you could be weaving or doing other things, to be here to hear about how the Guild has been working with individual members and board and staff to keep our mission out in the world and keep our our awareness growing, and also for being here to hear what we're going to do in the next 2 years. It's a very exciting time for all of us, I think, and we look forward to seeing you around the Guild. Please vote. We need to have a certain number of members vote, so your vote does count. We would love to see your vote come in by July 10th. And if you have any questions or thoughts, please, look at that sweet little lamb. It just makes my heart warm. If you have any questions, you can either come off mute and ask them if you like, or you can pop them into the chat. We'd love to hear them.
I think while folks are mulling over their questions and popping them in the chat or waiting to raise their hand, a question that I have is more, I guess, big picture, maybe not answerable, but who on this call is going to be the first person to raise a flock of sheep, to buy some land and raise a flock of sheep, or grow a plot of hemp? Any takers? Anyone want to raise their hand? I think Rachel's a prime candidate.
I am prime candidate for sheep, although I've committed I won't. Our friend Natalie has.
Well, Betsy, how about you?
Right? Pop needs some friends, Betsy.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I think something that I'm really excited about, and I know a lot of people in our guild are excited about with the place piece in our strategic plan, is really thinking about our position in a broader environment of producers, cultivators, millers. We're, for those of you who are new to weaving and maybe new to this area, we have we're in a really exciting moment for local fiber processing and production, and to be part of that and to create the market that then supports the people who are producing and cultivating and milling, I think is a really exciting form of partnership and supporting a thriving ecosystem. So Rachel, lots of votes. We're in next sheet. We also have
Neighbors will never notice, right?
Never.
We have go ahead.
Good question from Beata.
Yeah.
How will we measure progress to our 2-year plan goals?
Well, I think, and jump in, Cheryl, if you wish. The way that we put, as Cheryl said, we are creating SMART goals for each and every area under people, place, and programs, and then also within the all the different sub projects within those sort of focus areas. And we will, the board will be choosing which ones go first and how we can get, where we can get the most oomph, where do we put our efforts first, and then we'll be, reading out success measures as we go. We did not want to, there's a whole document and we could definitely go through it, but it's one of those things that would probably take longer than we've spent already on this call to go through all the details. So we do have them, and we will be measuring them in our monthly board meetings. We'll talk about timelines. We'll talk about who's on first. We're looking for board members to lead the charge on specific projects. And also, if there are guild members that feel called to help lead or provide horsepower to a specific initiative, that is definitely going to be needed. So once we know kind of how we can align our volunteers and our board members, we'll be providing updates in our monthly board meetings.
Thanks, Rachel. Cheryl, did you want to add anything? No.
I think that covers it.
You definitely summed it up. Great. So we have a question from Roberta. Roberta has been a really engaged member, has served on the board, but also was really instrumental in our education committee and program work for many years, and still is a big champion for education. And the question that Roberta added to the chat was, how is the spring donation drive going? Amy, I know you look at the numbers, so you're welcome to chime in. And then Jasmine gets a notification every time somebody donates through PayPal. So all three of us can answer this question from our own perspectives, but it's been very slow. I will say it is something that we need more support
for and from our members. One thing we keep an eye on is we don't want our spring fund drive to conflict with our winter and fall fund drive. So in fall, every year we put out a large ask for people, and that's closer to the beginning of our fiscal year, and that really sets us up for success for the rest of the year. And so this spring, we are asking for specific funds that would be restricted and able to carry over fiscal year from fiscal year to support ongoing work around instructor onboarding and curriculum development. And that's really, a cornerstone that we've recognized and tried to work towards for many years to ensure the sustainability of our really amazing education programs that have been developed by generations of incredible teachers like Roberta, Donna Hanson, who was mentioned earlier, and Connie Latendrous, who was also mentioned, among many others. I know that there are a lot of needs right now, both locally, regionally, and also nationally. There are some really important how do I want to phrase this? There are some really urgent needs for funding and support. And so now is not a great time. It's also summer in Minnesota. People are off-site out in the world. And so we are probably, I would say, 2/5 of the way to our $15,000 goal. So it's been slow but steady. So if you're on this call and you support education and you haven't donated yet, I would highly encourage you to do so. The link has been in previous drafts. You can also call us or send us a note and donate over the phone. And I will say if we don't reach our $15,000 goal this year, we will do what we can with the funds that we've received. And then we can always continue to fundraise over the following years and just move more slowly with our instructor onboarding and guild held curriculum work. Yeah, I hope that's helpful and gives you a more holistic picture of the why and where we're at. And Amy and Jasmine, you're welcome to jump in and add anything, any perspective.
Oh, I can speak to, I was just pulling up QuickBooks and it just finally loaded as folks were talking. But in terms of specifically the donated goods, like the donated equipment, in-kind yarn, books, etc., we are just about to our budgeted goal. So we have gotten about $100,000 from contributions.
And that was for from donated goods, like sale.
I'm looking, and it is just kind of lagging, but it is the individual so separate from cash contributions. So 40,000, does that sound right?
Yeah, and a lot of that. Yeah, I would say a lot of that. I know it's really hard to read QuickBooks on the fly. A lot of that is from our fall fundraiser. So we had a very successful fall fundraiser, and now we're also asking folks to give again. So I think it's it's slow going. Folks their attention might be elsewhere, and there's a lot going on in the world. So we're really grateful for the donations that we've received so far. And if you're able to give, yeah, I would encourage you to do so. If everybody gave $25, we would be able to reach our goal.
Thanks, Betsy. Any other questions? Don't be shy. We're a friendly audience. And if you have questions that you don't feel like asking online here with the group, feel free to reach out to any one of us to pose those questions, maybe in a less obvious way. Oh, and thank you for putting that out, Natalie. Natalie put the donation link in the chat. So if you're feeling the call of this cute little sheep face in front of you and of warm and fuzzy about all of the things that the Guild does for you every year, we would definitely welcome your donation. Any other business you want to cover, Betsy, Cheryl? Yes, she is an incredible Guild secretary. Kudos to Natalie, and always with a smile.
Betsy, sometime I should share my trove of sheep pictures. Because that England trip we took, I was never more than 5 minutes away from sheep.
Yes, please. If anybody has like fiber related, especially fiber animal related photos that you want to add to the draft or spice up our meetings, always welcome.
All right. Do you want to cover this or should I, or just, I'm not sure who is doing the official closing. I'll go ahead and do it. So just a few odds and ends, little housekeeping. As you probably have seen in the draft, Open Book is completely redoing its elevator over the summer. So the elevator will be out, and that will impact the guild in a number of ways. One being it will be a little less accessible. It will only be available, to get up to the space will be by stairs only, which is not ideal for a lot of folks. Just keep that in mind as you come out. If you are willing to brave the stairs, once the elevator is down, we will have some adjusted shop hours and availability. And then all that detail is in the draft, I believe, because I don't want to misspeak. I do know that the 2 days that were open for the public are Friday and Saturday, and there are some additional days for interest groups. The guild staff will be working with the board to do some take a pause on some of the more in-person, like face-to-face things because of that elevator being down, and they're going to be working on a lot of projects. We'll be working on projects with them as well in that quote quiet space. And then I expect Fridays and Saturdays will be busy for those who feel like climbing some stairs. This week, before the elevator is out, come visit Jasmine and Betsy. We have an amazing sale going on in our shop. So we are plumb full of donated goods. Some really amazing books came in. We have equipment. We have small tools. We have oodles and oodles of yarn and fiber. So swing on by. That's an amazing way to get your creative shopping fix on, support your creative practice, but also it's a perfect way to donate to the guild in a way, because all those donations came in and your money you pay goes right back to the guild with no additional overhead. Also, there's a 15% off discount for members. So we're kind of sweetening the deal there. Please take advantage of that. Take a class online. There's some amazing classes. I'm looking at one myself right now. So please take a peek, and it should be pretty fun. I think there's some ways that if you're taking an online class and you don't have the particular piece of equipment, I believe there's some ability to maybe get a piece of equipment from the guild. Is that correct, Betsy? Okay,
Yep.
so if you want to try something new, yeah, the zigzag class, that is exactly what I'm looking at. So Paige, you and I, yep, we're on the same. Oh, and someone put some details in there. So this is Natalie to the rescue. So shop and guild open hours in to June. So the Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 and until 7 on, well, tonight. So I guess that doesn't help. People are shopping or just finished. And then closed July 1st through the 5th so that, we can all go take the Independence Day holiday and staff can go take some time off. And then limited open hours in July and August, Fridays and Saturdays from 10 until 5. All right. And then what else? Volunteers. Oh, this Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, the ACC Craft Fest is happening in St. Paul. It looks absolutely incredible. The Guild will have a booth. Please stop by if there are some volunteer spots still open for some, I think there's weaving, spinning, and maybe some leading a weaving, what would you call it? Activity, a weaving activity with folks who swing by. Please. Yo, thanks. There's Natalie on the spot. As always, there's a link in the chat. Please feel free to sign up. And then the State Fair is coming. And as you know, we have an amazing presence at the State Fair in the creative. Is it the Creative Activities Building? I always forget what the building is called. But we're one of the only organizations that has a permanent, we're always there all 10 days, open to close. So we definitely need volunteers. Watch for that call for volunteers coming soon. Anything else, folks? If not, I will say thank you so much for prioritizing this time tonight. We are so glad to have you here. It was wonderful to see new faces, and I hope we'll see you around soon. Don't forget to vote.